And so, oh, thank you, Wayne. Just a quick overview of Amplify, or the Activating Media Positively Leadership Institute for Filipino Youth Fellowship Program. We launched this program back in January as part of our mission to uplift alternative media. AKI is a partner with the Lobbying Group, which is an ethnic media collaborative here in Sacramento, with the goal of reducing stigma surrounding the reporting of hate incidences and hate crimes through empowerment and by shedding light on the stories of our community. So with these focuses in mind, we've recruited a cohort of 6 fellows for a year-long program where we provide a series of trainings and workshops on podcasting, journalism, and digital media production. And so at the end, we're uh, gonna see their major media project on a topic of their choice, which is what we're gonna see today. And of course, this is done in tribute to our late Kasama Amato and the legacy of community care that he built in his lifetime. And we hope to continue his work by uplifting this new generation of community organizers. Wayne, if you can hit the next screen. Yes, and so before we start, I just want to implore the folks in the room to support our work. We're launching a number of programs as part of our missions, all centering around uplifting our community stories. So if you go on our website, you'll be able to see our work in Indigenous, like solidarity, healing justice, ethnic studies, to name a few. And we're able to provide all these resources and materials for free. But we can really do so much. So if you feel called to, please donate at givebetter.com/amadokaya so that we can continue this type of work and to continue helping our community. Next slide, Wayne. Okay, and for real, I'll stop after this one, but to close out, we just wanted to share that we're launching our 2024 Filipinx Community Survey so that we can have a better understanding of our community needs. This survey asks questions on labor, employment, education, housing, mental health, immigration, and food access. And these topics were crafted with the advice of local community leaders in Sacramento, and that data will be able to shape grants for our future programming, as well as to inform policymakers and community members. So please, if you have the time as well, please take the survey. You can find it at amadokaya.org/2024 survey. Yeah, and I want to give time for our fellows, so I'll leave it at that. But if you have any questions on the survey, you can email me at angela@amadokaya.org. So yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
Thank you so much, Angela. And I just want to give a huge shout out to a guest who was able to make it today, Dr. Scott Suchitani. Dr. Scott Suchitani was a huge part of the Amplify Fellowship experience for our fellows in the training, not just logistically with interviewing and podcasting and media work, but also his mentorship and guidance and support. So I wanted to make sure I offer any space for Dr. Sujitani, who, congratulations on the new position, is super busy, but made some time to kind of stop by and check in. So Dr. Scott, did you want to say a few words before we begin with the presentations?
Sure, just briefly wanted to say what a privilege it was to work with the fellows, super talented, super insightful, and they're really conscious. So I learned a lot. It's a mutual learning experience, and yeah, privilege. And I'm proud of you for finishing. I'm looking forward to seeing what you came up with. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Dr. Scott. This program would not have happened. The fellowship experience would not happen without Dr. Sujitani's amazing leadership support and guidance. So appreciate you, Scott. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our first presenter. And the way this will go is we'll go ahead and I'll introduce each fellow, and each fellow will have between 8 to 10 minutes. Fellows in the chat, I'll give you time checks, things of that sort, but take your time to present your amazing work. So the first up is Summer Lomendeje. Summer is a double major at Sacramento State, studying journalism and Asian American Studies. She is currently a student assistant for their Asian American Studies program, assisting with the planning of their biannual Stop the Hate Arts and Media Showcase. She is also a mentee for Sacramento State's CRISJ Research Mentorship Program, a year-long program where she will research the effects of U.S. imperialism on Asian American beauty politics and how its legacies impacts the self-worth of Asian American girls and women today. After graduating, She hopes to travel around Southeast Asia before coming back to face the reality of entering a job market as a journalist. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it to you, Summer.
Thanks, Kuya Wayne. Let me share my screen and start setting up here. Thank you to everyone who was able to make it today. And if you're watching on the recording, hi, thank you for watching the recording. Can you all see my screen? Okay, cool.
See it?
Let me enter present mode. It's really funny how whenever we're doing all these tech stuff, we all feel the need to kind of narrate what we're doing. All right, you all. Hi, my name is Summer. This is my presentation for my podcast. And it's been a long journey to get here to finish, but I'm here with all the other fellows. It says portfolio here on the screen because it's a pre-made Canva layout, but it's not a portfolio. So before going into this fellowship, I was very limited in any activist work. Yes, I'm a journalist, but journalism and activism to me before this fellowship were two different things. And so one thing that kind of made me arrive to ethnic studies and shifting my role in like what I thought a journalist was a media coverage of the 2021 Atlanta spa shootings. And it really made me think about what journalism is and what its purpose was and is meant to be. And so with that mindset, it was really difficult to get into what exactly is activism, you know? And part of the reason why I wanted to do this fellowship was to try and expand what I knew about activism and how I can be an activist in my own ways. And so approaching this project was a little challenging because I was in this mindset where, well, if I'm making something, any type of media project, it has to be neutral, it has to be objective. But the purpose of the fellowship was to do something activist related. And so that was a struggle in of itself. And I thank Dr. Scott Suchitani for kind of helping me get out of that space and kind of making me realize that activism and journalism can go hand in hand. And through the training that we received, through the workshops that we all went through as fellows, I kind of realized that community, building community, prioritizing community is important, not just as a journalist in the field, but as, you know, just as a person. Community is what keeps me feeling rewarded, and it kind of keeps me avoiding feeling jaded. And that's kind of the lessons that I took from this fellowship. And I think moving forward, I can now see myself as a journalist that can do activism, which is really crazy to think because almost a year ago, that was not something that I had in mind. So my project shifted a lot over the course of the past few months. Initially, I wanted to start a project about utang ng loob and how it affects Filipino American nurses, just because that was something that I had always wondered myself. And then I met Kyle. Kyle was recommended to me to talk to by Kuya Wayne. And just by talking to them, my initial project idea kind of shifted. And the more I began talking to him, the more it changed and morphed into what it is today. And so what was something that I thought was ended up becoming an internal reflection about journalism, the importance of a community, and what I can do to kind of connect those two bridges. And so the clip that I'm going to share is a part of our conversation where they talk about, you know, being hate crimed as a nurse. And so trigger warning to anyone listening, they do talk about things that is sensitive in nature. Racism is definitely something that takes a toll on anyone's soul. So trigger warning for that. But with that, I'm going to play my clip. Let me know if you all can hear this.
That was a hard period of time for me. At that time, I was working for through a Department of Public Health and in a school district as a school nurse during the pandemic to help with just the students, the schools, navigating them getting their eyeglasses, their medications, et cetera, that they needed because they couldn't go outside. It was really interesting seeing the pandemic from a different perspective than what my close nurse friends or like my friends in the hospitals or some of my mentors still were experiencing. And to me, being upfront and up close in the schools themselves, seeing just how terribly our systems failed, not just the students, but the families and communities in order to be safe, the rushing out of going back, making people go back into work while they were still sick before we even had vaccines. It was terrifying, to be honest. I think all of it really came to a head. I think it was late 2020 or early 2021. I had an incident happen when I was working and wanting to deliver through the postal office something for a family that I had, I picked up as a part of work. And I ended up walking out and I essentially was hate crime assaulted. I got called a racial slur by an older man, and I got spat at. And that ended up, really, sorry, I'm just understanding the importance of leaning on your community and really understanding the people that are around you and asking for help. And that's something I have challenges to this day with. But that ended up turning into a whole news story. I was in like the San Francisco Chronicle, the Associated Press, and a bunch of other outlets and stuff. And a lot of people are mean. A lot of people are very racist online, especially during that period, and still even now and beforehand. I'm not trying to say that it never existed or doesn't exist anymore. But that period of time really taught me to understand and verbalize what my boundaries were, and like distancing myself from things and spaces that I don't necessarily need to engage in if I don't want to. On the other hand,
so that was just a brief snippet of the conversation that I had with Kyle. And so through this conversation, like I said, I began just thinking about what it means to be a journalist. And it's only through these conversations with people that I'm realizing, the way journalism works with Asian Americans, with people of color in general, doesn't need to be this way. It really does not need to be this way. And so I really do thank AKI for giving me this opportunity to kind of expand what I think journalism is and can be. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity again to just bring this story to light. And I cannot wait for you all to see the final cut when everything gets uploaded. But with that said, that's everything. Oh, actually, I lied. It's not everything. The Asian American Liberties Network, or you can visit the Amado Kaya's Instagram accounts for their infographic on what to do if you witness or experience a hate crime. Angela actually was the one who worked on this, so you should definitely check it out. There we go. And with that said, if you are looking to connect with me or Kyle, our Instagram handles are right there. That is my timer in the background. Yeah, those are our handles. Kyle is definitely up to doing any mentorship, they told me. So if you're up for that, please feel free to reach out to them. And if you want to reach out to me too, my Instagram is right there. There's nothing on it. It seems like it's like a burner account. It is not a burner account. I just deleted all of my posts. But again, thank you to Dr. Scott Suchitani, Kuya Wayne, Angela, Dr. Rod, AKI, and the amazing fellows for everything. It's been a pleasure and an honor to work with all of you this upcoming year, and I'm really excited to see all of everyone's work.
Great job, Summer. That was amazing. That was a very touching testimonial and talk story with Kyle, and I appreciate the honesty and the storytelling that you are invoking through your project. So thank you so much for your commitment, and great job being the first one up to bat lead off and start us off in an amazing way. All righty. Okay, let me check. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next amazing Amplify fellow, Kabang Laron. Kabang, all pronouns, is a disabled Filipinx artist who specializes in book arts, drawing, and printmaking. Amazing artwork, by the way. I bought a few pieces. Their art practice focuses on themes of queer temporalities, decolonial resistance, and personal narrative. They graduated from UC Santa Barbara in 2020 with a degree in feminist studies and art, and since then have been working as a freelance artist. Their recent work outside of Amplify centers on uplifting the Palestinian cause and celebrating QTPOC life. They hope to continue creating community-centered work because our stories, ways of life, and philosophies deserve to be heard and celebrated. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it to the amazing Kabang.
Okay, is this working, everybody?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're great.
Cool. So my presentation is mostly talking, and I will be doing a little reading of my zine. So yeah. So my projects were focused on navigating love, sustainability, and disability during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Content warning, talk about death, disability, medical racism, misogyny, eating disorders, homophobia, transphobia, police brutality. Yeah. Thanks, Summer. So yeah, I'm someone who reaches out to friends for advice and stories when looking for ways to navigate life. I've been living with my immunocompromised and disabled best friend while also being disabled the last few years. We're both Southeast Asian Americans and have faced what feels like endless troubles the last 4 years trying to survive the pandemic. If it isn't a potentially life-ending disease, it's racism or transphobia, homophobia, other violence. I hope with my work that I created to make materials by and for disabled ASAMs that might remind everyone that despite the isolation, we're not alone in the ongoing pandemic. Originally, I was looking to interview disabled ASAMs on the topic of sustainability during like extremely difficult times. Through my time working with the Bulusan Center and attending the Brocada community space with Kuya Wayne, it's been made really clear to me that love and community are the foundation for sustainability. Like we need those things to keep going. Using Bell Hook's book, All About Love as a foundation, I initially was asking interviewees about how acts of sacrifice and solidarity, like actions of love, help keep them going. And I was also curious about how the ways in which disabled people need support may have changed over the course of time the last 4 years. I was in for a surprise. I'm newly disabled myself and didn't realize in the process of these interviews that I would find that all of my long disabled comrades have been asking for the same sorts of love in the form of communication, accessibility needs recognized, compassion, and empathy that they've always been asking for. The pandemic just sort of brought it more to the forefront, but they've always needed these things. The pain I've felt these last few years while being heavily isolated is only a fraction of what other disabled ASAMs have faced their entire lives. Yeah, so my podcast for that, I interviewed an activist in SF who talked a bit about what navigating disability living there is like with all the environmental racism, gentrification, and just lack of people masking, and the difficulties that Asian elders face when they try to mask to protect themselves from COVID and they get more targeted. So that was an interesting interview. Please hit up my podcast to learn more about that. I have a zine here that I made for my mother-in-law also or ex-mother-in-law who passed earlier this year. We weren't able to see her much because of COVID, and so I wrote this for her. Let me just move my camera. Oh, okay. 1 second, everybody. Okay. I think it's blurring, so I'm gonna go fix that real quick. Okay, let's see. Can everyone see this okay? Okay, so I did all of this digitally. Let's see. Oh yes, binded it myself. It's just on printer paper, but yeah. So this is for May. Dedicated to May, Tuivan, and all the disabled and immunocompromised people of the world. I will always remember your laugh, your smile, your piercing eyes, and the love you still share through nourishing hands and disability-centric ways of knowing. Dear May, there are a million things I wish I could say to you, a million questions I wish I could ask, a million answers I wish I could hear. Somehow, though, I know that if I could see you again, that I'd be speechless, just like the first and last time we met. We sneak through your empty apartment, tracing fingers along years of scratches, skids, dents of wheelchair against drywall. Your tiny flip-flops feel strange on my feet as I walk through your kitchen, glancing at stories told by paper snippets and magnets clinging to your fridge door. A folded paper is taped up listing proper COVID-19 protocol next to a snipping photo of pups from a UC mailing ad. The paper says to stay home, wash your hands. There's no notice to wear a mask, no advice on where to find masks or tests. This is a painting that was in our house. Let's see. Every surface of this apartment seeps with memories. This kitchen floor where you sat, crisscrossed with pups as a child, sharing stories of your early days climbing, harvesting fruit from coconut trees, holding their tiny hands in yours as you taught them their way around coconuts with your butcher knife. There is no question that sharing the knowledge to sustain, to nurture, is love. You shared the ways you move with them, navigating beds and floors and wheelchairs, a silat master in shoes of different sizes, femme fatale refugee with post-polio, guiding their little hands, shaping disabled worlds with your baby soft palms. But then I imagine your voice echoing off these hard floors and white walls, shouting them out onto the desolate Irvine streets, again and again and again. I imagine what it must have felt like for pups, the cold, curved walls of drain tunnels and freeway overpasses, somehow a reprieve from this little hell we were all trapped in, hiding from the violences of colonialism you espouse. Cold Orange County nights, flashes of blue and red, bleak asphalt fields, grayish-colored walls, Panopticon parking lots. Shouldn't you be in the swamps? Shouldn't the jungle still sing? Shouldn't the land and the water and the animals still be with you? No villages scorched by American napalm, no blood flowing, lungs pounding, nerves pulsing with the poison of Agent Orange. It's all so quiet now. Pups glances at the worn tiles of the kitchen counter, at the aged floorboards they lament, the emptiness of it all. Your sisters never came over much, despite living so close. And of course, the only sibling who really showed you love was killed during the war. Your surviving siblings always complained about talking over the phone with you. You're so negative. You're too depressing. Everything is always the same with you. Imagining your decades-long confinement to these dusty white walls is heartbreaking. At times during this pandemic, I've thought myself overcome with loneliness, felt abandoned by strangers, friends, family. The truth is, I don't know shit about isolation. If years of full voicemail boxes and friends gone missing felt lonely to me, I can't imagine the pain disabled people already felt before all this, being abandoned by their communities to white walls and glowing screens for lifetimes. I've been thinking a lot lately about what it means to bear witness to another, to be granted the opportunity to see and understand another person's vulnerability, pain, the truths of their life. Pups has shared so much of your life stories with me. I'm grateful to have heard each and every one. I'm grateful for the ways that your worlds and your truths transform my everyday. I wish you did not suffer so much pain at the hands of the French, the Americans, your family, your community, the medical establishment, ableism, racism, misogyny, isolation. You deserve so much more from this world. The pain and suffering that lived in your cancer, in your post-polio, worsened by doctors experimenting on colonial subjects, the poverty housing freeway fumes that tear at pups' lungs and skin, the government which refuses to address COVID or long COVID in favor of capitalist greed, the poisons that silenced your jungles and swamps, the bombs and shrapnel that are killing and maiming Palestinians right now. It's all preventable. It's all on purpose. I will not forget this. I will not forget you. I wonder what kind of mother you would have been if you had ever been given a chance, the resources to live in a way that aligned with your heart of hearts. Would you have made different choices? Who would you be if the world had given you a chance? It's been about 6 months since you've left us. The monks at the funeral didn't allow pups to speak their eulogy. No time for disabled attendees, I guess. We mourn your parting from this world at our altar here on Nisenan land, face illuminated in the candlelight next to photos of other disabled and immunocompromised kin taken from us the last few years. We listen to the words of Thich Nhat Hanh to try and understand what to make of all this. All things in this world are temporary. Nothing lasts forever. Even ableism must end. Even colonialism, racism, sexism, imperialism, capitalism, all of it. All things must come to an end. That's my book. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. My video is on a similar topic. And yeah, I don't know how I'm at with time, but thank you for checking it out, everyone.
Thank you so much, Kabang. That was beautifully done. I'm overwhelmed with emotion, and thank you for your vulnerability, your storytelling, and your heart, and passion for this work. I'm very touched, and I think a lot of us are right there with you. So sending you tons of love, Kabang. Thank you so much for your sharing. You have a little bit of time. Did you have anything else you wanted to say, or?
I think for now I'm good, but thank you everybody for your everything.
Amazing job, Kabang. Let's give Kabang a round of applause, virtual applause. Oh, that was beautifully done. Oh, thank you so much, Kabang. All right. Next up, joining us virtually through a video box in just a bit is Adrian Jules Sales. Adrian, he, him pronouns, is a semi-recent graduate from UC Berkeley. Congratulations. He was born in the Philippines and grew up in Northern California. During his undergrad, he was involved in the on-campus Filipino community and in helping retain Filipino Americans in higher education. Since graduating, he has continued similar advocacy through groups such as FASTER, the Filipinx Americans in STEAM, and organizations focused on the greater immigrant community, such as CHIRLA and Al Otro Lado. In this free time, you can find Adrian rewatching Parks and Rec for the 10th time or playing Plucky Squire. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it on to the virtual version of Adrian. I know Adrian is in the chat, but is I believe might be traveling. But Adrian, if at any point you want to input or live say anything or say any messages, feel free to let us know. But I'll go ahead and play your video now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Josales. Sorry that I couldn't be here fully to present, so I decided to record my presentation for you all. I'm probably, though, here in the Southern, just can't speak out loud because it's my mom's birthday. But yeah, my name is Juju Salas. For this fellowship, I really wanted to focus on the undocumented Filipino American experience. I have a personal connection to the undocumented community. I have loved ones who are undocumented or have DACA. If I were to quantify, it with the 6 degrees of separation, some might even say it would be 0. I'll leave it at that. Most importantly, why I wanted to do this is that undocumented Filipino Americans are a particularly hidden and underserved minority, even within the undocumented community and our own Filipino American community. Racialization in this country has severely limited people's perceptions on what it means to be undocumented and what it means to be Filipino American. Undocumented immigrants are not just Latino, like I explore in my second project with misconceptions / recent updates about undocumented immigrants. There are 152,000 undocumented Filipino immigrants just in California. Earlier this year, I got the opportunity to volunteer with Al Otro Lado, a border rights organization in the San Diego-Tijuana region. Specifically, I helped with their family reunification program, helping migrants reunify with family members they were separated from at the border. What I saw in the program was that migrants come from everywhere, not just Latin America, and it was often harder for the program to help these cases because there was less support, less translators for their languages. There were folks who spoke Mandarin, Arabic, Turkish, Haitian Creole, indigenous languages. My point here being that the undocumented experience, and to a greater extent, the migrant experience, encompasses a variety of ethnicities, languages, and histories. On the Filipino American side, during undergrad, I was involved in the on-campus Filipino community. I helped out with recruiting and retaining Filipinos in higher education, especially in the STEM fields, and I got to connect with awesome folks who were dedicated to this. What I didn't the lack of was there wasn't much advocacy for issues that didn't directly affect our community, particularly undocumented issues. It was hard to disentangle in my mind because Filipino American issues, and undocumented issues were both just parts of the greater immigrant experience and inherently connected. So yeah, that's why I decided to focus my projects on that experience. My first project was a podcast interview with 2 academic counselors from the Undocumented Students Program at UC Berkeley, Keisha Arn and Camille Sims-Rinko. They're at the top right. Keisha's on the right, and then Camille's on the left. I want to express my immense gratitude and appreciation for them, not only for agreeing to share their story, but the work that they do for undocumented folks in higher education. I met Keisha and Camille when we were undergrads at Berkeley and part of the Filipino community there. I thought they were perfect for sharing 2 sides of the undocumented college experience. Firstly, their own story of what it meant going to college as an undocumented Filipino American. Secondly, now as counselors, how they serve the undocumented community at Berkeley and how their background helps them address specific issues and populations within that community. For my second project, the slideshow, which is at the lower left of this page, I wanted to focus more on the general undocumented experience and talk about common misconceptions as well as recent updates with policy regarding undocumented folks. Throughout my advocacy journey, I found that even allies, folks who were sympathetic to undocumented immigrants, they were still not the most knowledgeable about what it means to be undocumented and like the rights that you have, recent legislation that affects them, that in the long run, impedes many allies' ability to advocate for and help undocumented immigrants. It's a conceptual barrier to get through because many of the things I go over in my slideshow is, intimately known to me as it's the lived experience of many loved ones. It reminds me of this conversation I was having with someone else in our cohort about how solidarity should be non-transactional, but oftentimes, most times it isn't. I think it's because of a lack of knowledge and engagement that people want to help, but we just need to show them how. Hopefully my slideshow can shed more light on our documented experience. Finally, my third project, the informational video, which is here in the bottom right. I wanted to focus more on the Filipino side, specifically OFWs and labor migration. Why do many Filipinos risk things like undocumented status, racism, and exploitation for work and the American dream? I think there's a sense of disillusionment across the board with work. You work these long hours at a job that isn't maybe your dream, pays less and less every year, but it costs more and more to just live. It's even more severe with immigrants, particularly undocumented immigrants, where there is an ideological aspect of the American dream that opportunity can be found and life is better in America, but then you immigrate and life is still hard. I'm reminded of this quote. I think some people attribute it to James Baldwin, but that might be false. It says, I have no dream job. I do not dream of labor. With the third project, I wanted to get to the crux of the issue of undocumented immigrants within the Filipino community, that the promise of labor and opportunity in migration, and cover the historical context there. So there's the projects I worked on for the fellowship. I want to thank Kuya Wayne, Angela, Dr. Scott for their guidance throughout the whole process. I want to thank the Amado Kaya Initiative and the Lavan Group for the opportunity to work on and share these projects. Thank you.
Great job, Adrian. Give Adrian a round of applause. Amazing work. And you could actually see as they're being processed in the background of my other laptop. Many of these projects are already live on the Amado Kaya Initiative YouTube, including this presentation from Adrian, as well as the projects that Adrian had mentioned throughout the presentation today. So Adrian is in the chat, so send Adrian your love and your congrats. And Adrian, if there's any point you do want to say anything, feel free to let us know, but no pressure. I know you're in transit. So thank you so much for your amazing work, Adrian. Great job. Yay. Oops. All right. Next up, we have the amazing, oh, I forgot to say in the recording. Oh, Adrian says, but also thanks to my cohort and Dr. Rod. Yay. Oh, yes, I got you, Kelly. Give me a quick second. All right. So excited to introduce our next amazing Amplify fellow, Kelly Calejo. Kelly, they series / any pronouns, is a queer, neurodivergent, and creative human. They love the arts as a means of connecting ideas, dreaming of the future, creating and weaving memory. Kelly also loves to connect with nature and to learn from the universe and all her wonder, and to create and stem through music and dance. They are currently learning about and viewing life with literature and writing, dance, and AAPI studies. Without further ado, I'm very excited to pass the mic to the amazing Kelly. Go ahead, Kelly.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Thank you so much, Kuya Wayne, for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here and so grateful to be part of this space and this fellowship. I'm calling from the unceded lands of the Kumeyaay peoples. I'm also in a new library space, so it's really great to see a lot of art while I'm communicating with you all about art. I'm gonna kind of share more of my process and kind of speak more, like give a little kwentuhan. But I first of all really want to give thanks to my mom, my family, Kimmy, my community, my loved ones, everyone that I spoke to in this project, and everyone that I know in this room. I would love to thank my ancestors, our new ancestor, Amado Kaya, and all of my living ancestors and my teachers. I wouldn't be who I am without the work of Dr. Robin Rodriguez and the Bulosan Center in Wayne, and to be in fellowship with my cohort, which I've really learned so much. And so I feel like my projects are really a reflection of just like this process that I've had throughout this past year. So I'll get into it a bit more. But really, what this fellowship has taught me is how to really be in deep relationship with folks, and with folks that have already been showing me how to be in deep relationship. And so as Cleo Wayne shared, I'm a current student, and recently I've really been a new student to dance. And so this past spring, I was really interested in like movement and somatics and breath, and connecting that to different movements around the world. And also, so like that intersection of dance and social justice is kind of where I've been living this past summer. So I'm going to, I think, do a little slide share. let's see. I'm kind of new to Canva, so I just made like a casual presentation. But one of the first folks I'm going to talk about is Dr. Amanda Solomon, who she's smiling right here in the middle. Dr. Amanda Solomon, I met my first year at UC San Diego. So I'm based in San Diego. And Dr. Solomon, which I later learned is based from SAC. She is a director of a program at UCSD called Dimensions of Culture. And I actually took the third writing series in that program called Imagination in Action this past spring. And one of the requirements that she had was in the syllabus, the fourth chapter of Rest is Resistance, a manifesto by Tricia Hersey, the fourth chapter being about imagination. And so really this chapter is kind of what I've been meditating on during this entire process is how can rest be a form of resistance? And so here pictured, I guess I'll talk about that soon. Here pictured is an event from last October. Dr. DJ Cutting Candy, Jen Soriano, Joseph Diaz, and Jay Magabo Perez are all pictured here. And in this clip that I'm about to show you, so I interviewed Dr. Solomon, and she wrote or co-edited an anthology called Closer to Liberation, a Panay Panec's activism or activism in theory and practice with these other two books on the left. That's just some context. And it's this beautiful, I think like over 400-page anthology that I've really have gotten to nerd out over the last year about just like being in community with folks. And so I asked her, what was that process like? And her answer in this one clip that I'm going to share from our conversation in one of my projects, she talks about reimagined childcare from a project that she learned in the Bay called the Sama Sama Collective. So I'm just going to go to this next slide here, and she's going to share a little bit more about that.
Oh, sorry, Kelly, we can't hear it right now.
Okay, let's see. I might need to press share sound.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Thank you for telling me. Okay, I'll try it again.
We were trying to really celebrate people who were doing on the ground work, and that work that was really critical and intellectual and sharp, but not recognized, right, by universities or not recognized by academia or scholarship. So like one of my favorite pieces we did, and Jen solicited this, was a childcare collaborative in the Bay Area that was like just a group of Filipino families who wanted to make an alternative system to corporatized or private childcare. And so they just all came together to do this kind of like mutual aid of care. And the curriculum they designed was anti-colonial curriculum, right? So they were inviting people in their network and friends to like teach, Filipino approaches to land. They were, to teach Filipino cultural dancing, to teach like about kwentuhan and like Filipino folk stories to their kids, right, from the very beginning. So a true like recreation, a very intentional recreation of like a village raising children, but in the Bay Area. Because it's really expensive in the Bay. It's really expensive to have quality childcare. And I was like, that's so cool, right? To see families coming together and practicing what is an anti-capitalist, feminist, right, transnational, anti-colonial way of like raising their kids. You know what I mean? Like that to me is more impactful than any like book I might read on the subject, but to actually see how in practice they did it was really cool. So yeah, I mean the project of the anthology, I'm really proud of it. I'm very grateful for the experience because I got to just have the opportunity to learn so much from people who are doing so many interesting and different things in their local spaces in the name, right, of this vision of liberation, right, and this vision of just living differently from how history really has constrained and shaped us, right, as Filipinos in the diaspora, as Filipinx, Filipinos in the US particularly. So it was just a really great experience.
Yeah. And so, can y'all hear me still? Yeah. So we also talked about just different forms of parenting and about intergenerational patterns and patterning. And ultimately, what I was really interested in anyone that I reached out to was talking about community care and was about connecting with folks to really see like how can we build new ways of being. And so I'm going to show another clip of another person that I'm going to talk a little bit more about, and I think I might be at time. But I interviewed 3 different folks, and I just had so much to learn from each of them, and it was just a really beautiful experience. And so the other 2 folks that I reached out to are body-based practitioners. One of them is Joe. They're based in SAC, and I received my first skin adornment from them, like a 3-hour hand poke tattoo. And they've also been in a relationship with their imagination farm, and I just really wanted to be in conversation with them. And so in this next clip, they talk a little bit about re-indigenizing and also like decolonizing and how they're 2 sides of the same coin. And another person that I had interviewed was Kai, and they're also a Filipinx in the diaspora that was doing different energy medicine X. And so all of these 3 folks are really just like powerful people that are recognizing, yeah, it's just very decolonized lens and ways of being. And just something that I really appreciate from each of them is that they're in really deep relationship with the folks around them. And so for me, in order to be able to converse with them, that also required for me to be very present. And for me to be very present, I had to go to the ocean. I had to go be in nature. And both are witch of practices that Kai and Joe hold in their own practices. And so this is just another quote from Trisha Hersey that I was really centering during this process. Sorry that it started, but this is just a little clip of Joe speaking during our interview. Mind starting to expand.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I feel like decolonization, or re-indigenizing, I see them
Yes.
both sides of the same coin. Decolonizing is what we're trying to move away from, re-indigenizing what we're trying to come back to and remember. And for me, that really is remembering, our indigenous ancestral roots of being connected to the land, of respecting each other, being in community, supporting each other, seeing each other as human, and moving away from these systems of colonialism, of power dynamics, of oppression, of individualism, and really releasing that, composting it, and calling forward, this new world of liberation, of love, of respecting each other, being in community, supporting each other, seeing each other as human, and moving away from these systems of colonialism, of power dynamics, of oppression, of individualism, and really releasing that, composting it, and calling forward, this new world of liberation, of love, of sovereignty, of pleasure, of joy. Those are all of the things that I want to move through, in my own decolonizing, re-indigenizing practice.
And so you'll be able to see more of the different bits of wisdom from each folks that I talked with soon on the website. But yeah, it was just a really great honor to talk about grief and to talk about joy and to move that through these lovely folks and to really think about like how can we bring that into our own families and into our own spaces. So I think I might just leave it there. Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone.
Great job, Kelly. That was amazing. That was beautifully done. And I know for myself personally, very poignant and very timely in regards to processing grief, healing, love, and community, right? And rest as resistance, rest as revolutionary. So thank you for those words. Thank you for the storytelling and kwentuhan and the shared space that you've recorded and are sharing with AKI and the greater community. And for the lessons that you're helping bestow through these conversations. That was very beautifully done. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All righty. These are so amazing, y'all. Thank you so much for all the amazing work y'all put in. Um, man, I'm blown away. The next up, we have the amazing Renee Zapata. Renee, she, her pronouns, journey has been about making sense of her lived experience in historical reality and forging her own path with radical hope and optimism and lifting those around her along the way. She began to develop a dedication for social justice as an undergraduate student, a dedication which led her to a transformative path of Asian American studies, student leadership, and organizing, and academic research. She is also an artist, an aspiring filmmaker, and currently works in public health to advance health equity for communities disproportionately affected by climate change. She's based in the ancestral land of the Nisenan people, aka Sacramento, California, and is part of the local Gabriella chapter. Go, Gabriella! So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Renee.
Thank you so much, Kia Wayne. I hope everyone can hear me correctly. Yes. Wow. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been really great to see the fruition of everyone's months-long hard work, and I'm really excited to be able to share my work with you all today. So for my projects, I did it on 3 grassroots organizers in Sacramento. I really wanted to tap into the ground and really see what was happening and hear what was happening through my peers, the community, and my friends. I wanted to share my platform as an Amplify fellow and share that with organizers and artists and activists who could benefit from it the most. I felt that it was my responsibility as a journalist in training as part of this fellowship. So yes, so I did my projects on 3 organizers. They are Maurice Montoya, Genesis Diwa, and Jamara Hicks. Maurice is a Chicano organizer, artist, and activist in Sacramento. Genesis Diwa is a Filipina trans woman, artist, activist, and in her own words, also a lover and a fighter. And the third person is Jamara J. Hicks, who is a natural healer and organizer in Sacramento, who owns the Blacker the Berry shop. So for this presentation, I will be playing parts of my podcast and the videos, and also showing my Instagram slide deck. For this podcast clip that I will be showing to you all, I really wanted to ask and learn about the organizers' stories and how they came to the work that they do today, and what are some of the issues that they're seeing in Sacramento. And it was 3 it was 3 of them in the same recording session, so definitely went longer than expected, but I think it was a testament to kind of how beautiful the conversation just evolved and how inspiring it was. And so I'm gonna share my screen, and please bear with me because I don't really share audio that often. Let's see, hopefully I can do this right. Okay. Please let me know if you are not able to hear it, but I will be playing it now. This is Jamara Hicks, and her testament on her story and how she came to the work that she is doing now.
My start with Blackberry Health and Wellness started with my own personal journey. At 13 years old, I came down with Bell's palsy. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's a viral infection that attacks the facial nerves. So it attacked my left side. From that point on, it led to kind of like a snowball effect of different health issues, not just physical health issues, but mental health issues as well. I struggled with depression, a lot of anxiety, and that snowballed into the physical because at that point I didn't realize how much our entire being is connected. Our minds is connected to our bodies, and our bodies is connected to our spirit, and it all affects each other. So with that being said, starting out with those mental issues so early on in age, it also led me to realize that adequate health care was missing in my community. Because I noticed from my own journey, going to the doctors, especially at age 13 when I first came down with Bell's palsy, the doctor that I went to see wasn't even familiar with my condition, and therefore I wasn't properly treated. So I went an entire 8 years without getting any type of movement back on the left side of my face. And then from that, working, just handling life period, I realized that I was suffering from depression. And I've been suffering from depression my entire life and didn't realize it because all the doctors that I went to see never identified that as an issue. It was just always, here, try this particular pharmaceutical or try this particular drug, or, I felt like a guinea pig. So when I was working for Apple and I was about 4 years in at that point, I had scheduled working from 5 a.m. to 4 in the p.m. And I'm going to work every day. I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And what I notice is every morning I'm going to work and I'm just like in tears, bawling. So I reached out to my doctor via email and I let her know what was going on. She sent me a questionnaire. From that questionnaire, she decided that it wasn't necessary for me to come in and see anybody or talk to anybody. It was just, here, take these pharmaceuticals. And I noticed that was happening pretty often with my friends and family members. Everybody was getting treated that way. And it happened to be, that we're all people of color. So from that experience, I realized that it's time for us to step back from, the pharmaceuticals and the Western medicine that comes with all these different side effects and go back to where we all began, which is natural medicine. And that's how Blackberry Health and Wellness is formed.
Yes, so that was kind of the start of Jamara's journey to understanding her own health and how she came to the world of natural medicine. She's a healer and the owner of Black the Berry and has a lot of amazing products that help different kinds of conditions. And for the next clip, I want to showcase Genesis Diwa's experience. And I wanted to share Genesis' story because one of the goals of this program is to shed light on hate crimes in Sacramento. And unfortunately, Genesis was faced a transphobic hate crime earlier this year with her and her sisters as they were on a night out. And there's been a very lackluster response from the city. And so I wanted to give Genesis an opportunity to share about her story, her work, and what came out of that, which is actually really incredible. And we'll get to see it in the video later. Okay.
So after coming to find meaning here in Sacramento, we created a space for ourselves, and outside of that space, we would also hang out, enjoy each other's company. And so one night, me and a few my sisters and a couple other friends from the scene decided to go out to celebrate one of their birthdays, and it was a great night. We had a lot of fun just dancing, and there was a queer DJ that night that was performing at Golden Bear, and he our friends suggested that we go and check it out, and so we were just enjoying ourselves, and everything was fine up until the end of the night when, as we were leaving the bar, one of my sisters, Ayotunde, she was physically assaulted, and we really had to stand on business at that point and really protect each other. It was a scary night. It was definitely like, not just because of the situation and feeling like we were surrounded by folks who we didn't know whether they were on our side or not, and anything could have happened to any of us. And that's mostly where my mind went, was like, I protect your sister, protect your family, your chosen family, because we're all we got. So, it was definitely it was a wake up call in a sense, but it wasn't surprising. It wasn't anything that we didn't already know about. There had been, like, it's like every year we hear about countless transphobic hate crimes and queerphobic hate crimes, and our community is constantly under attack. And so that night was just like a symptom of a larger problem. It was just like an example of that, and thankfully none of us were critically harmed. So in response,
So that was Genesis recounting that night, and I do want to give her a lot of credit, because it's very hard to recall something that traumatic. And Genesis and her sisters set up an organization called SPICE, and SPICE is we'll be sharing my screen again. Bear with me, just kind of have to not sure which screen I'm sharing.
We see the Genesis Diwa bio, I think.
Okay.
It's like a brown background.
Okay. One moment, please. Sorry.
Take your time. This is great. You're doing great.
So for my one of my projects, I did an Instagram slide deck, and one of the slides, they're about the organizers, Maurice and Genesis, but I really want to highlight the existence of SPICE. So SPICE is an organization that Genesis and her sisters founded as a response to the attack. They saw a lack of a lack of support from the community, but they wanted to take it on themselves to create that for themselves and for others, young queer folks in the community who want a space to be queer and be safe. And I want to just read my slide, but it says Spice's existence as a response to the violent transphobia that its members faced is a radical fight in and of itself. Ballroom is not just an art form, but also a political revolutionary statement, one that says that queer people have always been here and they are here to stay. I also want to note, and it's a very important detail that Genesis would like me to elevate that Spice. Sorry, one moment. I'm just gonna have to switch screens again. Okay. Yes. So I would like to elevate to you all that SPICE, which stands for Street Pride Intersectional Community Empowerment, does hold voguing and ballroom sessions, but it is also a trans and two-spirit healing circle. It also has self-defense training, and they have programs that aim to empower their community through mental, physical, spiritual, intellectual, cultural, financial, and interpersonal enrichment, and that their work follows the blueprint of STAR. STAR stands for Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, which is the radical political collective founded by two trans women of color, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, in the 1970s, that also provided housing and support to houseless LGBTQ youth and sex workers in New York City. And for my third organizer that I want to highlight in this presentation, Maurice Montoya. I will be sharing part of my slides and reading from them. I'm going to share slides again. Sorry, y'all, bear with me. I don't know why. I have
Okay,
like
take your time.
this laptop in the world.
All good.
Things are just taking a very long time to load. Okay, here you go. So Maurice Montoya is a queer Chicana activist, graduate of Sacramento State College and local of the 916, with roots from New Mexico. His experience growing up in Sacramento shaped his desire to cultivate a safe space for queer, Black, brown, and indigenous two-spirit folks and their allies together share their work and their art. Decolonized Market is that space. It is a space that Maurice created and a resource for Black, brown, indigenous two-spirit, LGBTQ community and allies to reconnect, learn about solidarity and connecting to the land. They have hosted events at the Mexican Heritage Center, Patchwork Shop, the Washington Neighborhood Center, and partnership with the Washington Neighborhood Center and Elk Grove Pride. And since February 22nd, 2022, they've also hosted mercados, workshops, and poetic gatherings. And so some more things about Maurice is that gonna have to share another screen again. Maurice, growing up in South Sac, never felt like he had a space as a youth where his art, his gender expression, and his sexuality was a safe thing to be. He never had resources, and he started to feel tapped in to start forming his own movement based on all of the Chicano movement going on. And he felt like there needed to be a safe space for the art scene, the LGBTQ community, as well as to see cultural innovations happen. The word decolonize came to him due to a Chicano Latina ethnic studies course. And he said that he always wanted to have a safe place for gathering, and he formed Decolonize Market to emphasize community collaboration. And I also wanted to show the video that I made. I filmed these amazing organizers after our podcast session because I wanted to showcase, I wanted to be able to have them showcase their work in a visual setting. And so now I will be sharing the video.
Also, Washington Center. Here we are in front of the RCAF mural here at Southside Park. This mural has been so influential throughout Sacramento. This region, of course, we're here on Niskan by the Miwok lands, and as a person of Chicano descent, we have had so much impact at this park. We look forward to upholding Black and Brown art in future programming. Here I'm holding to this shirt, wearing the shirt of Love Thy Skin, and it's going to be an art movement happening when the Decolonized Market was founded in February. So we will be building some programming really soon to emphasize Black and Brown solidarity, combating colorism, as well as focusing on the history of art in Sacramento. So thank you all for listening today, and check out the podcast.
I am Tamara Hughes, CEO and founder of Blackberry Health and Wellness. Blackberry Health and Wellness is a holistic wellness company that specializes in natural medicine, natural remedies that are geared towards chronic health issues that are faced by the Black and Brown communities. With me today, I have a small selection of products that we do carry. Carry everything from holistic wellness tea blends to tinctures. I have some organic coffee blends that are made with just mushrooms, no coffees at all. But everything I make is designed to basically heal you in some type of way. As a natural healer, I feel it's my goal to contribute wellness products that don't come with all the side effects and things like that that we naturally see in Western medicine. So if you would like to check out more of my products, feel free to go to the website, which is www.shopblackberry.com, and you will find the full range of Blackberry health and wellness products.
Hi everyone, my name is Genesis Diwa. I'm an artist, a lover, and a fighter out here in the staff. I'm helping lead the growing ballroom team. We call them the Spice Sessions every Saturday from 3:30 to 8:30 at the Washington neighborhood center. So come through if you want to feel your jam and learn how to vote.
And that was my project. 10, 10, 10s across the board. Thank you all so much.
Great job, Renee. Amazing plethora of expansive stories and capturing important topics, conversations, lessons. I'm blown away by the breadth of knowledge and community folks who were able to build with. And I like kudos to you for building those bridges and being able to bring those stories to life through video, through the kind of slide deck you prepared, as well as through the podcast. So amazing work, Renee. Awesome. Let's give Renee a round of applause. Yay. Okay, let's see. Last but not least is our amazing, let me just share my screen. Boop, boop, boop. Our amazing Hal Saga. Hal, who goes by they, she pronouns, is an undergraduate student studying race, ethnicity, and health with a minor in labor and employment studies at San Francisco State University. As a settler on both Tongva lands and Ramaytush Ohlone lands, Hal has made it their goal to unlearn colonial settler thought and uplift the revolutionary spirit of their ancestors back in the Philippines. From defying American occupation to fighting against Japanese militarism, their project for Amplify focuses on the theme of documenting organizer voices as a means of a history of what it means to care in activism for future organizers, including looking back and reflecting on why or what decided to make them organize. Without further ado, our grand finale, Hal. Go ahead, Hal.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me. Before I get started, I just really want to give a quick thanks to everyone here in this space. Thank you for showing up, showing out, being intentional with who you are. I really do want to give a big thanks to Kuya Wayne, Angela, Dr. Scott, Dr. Rod, the Labang group, everyone here who has been so supportive of the fellows in the cohort. For me, the Madokai initiative, ever since I started organizing in 2020, has been such a safe space and has been such a home for me. Ever since I started interning with the Bulusan Center in 2020, I felt as though, these organizers, these people in SAC were always someone I could lean on and some people I could always look up to. Um, for transparency, this past year, I faced two instances of displacement from two homes. I had to relocate in Southern California, where I'm originally from, due to an unfortunate housing situation. And right now, I am staying in a friend's guest room because of another unfortunate situation. But all in all, AKI and everyone here has been so supportive and been so welcoming and so lovely to be around. And, they are the reason why I'm doing this, the reason why I'm doing this work and trying to uplift all these, voices in terms of, you know, Filipino-ness and, being in community. And even though I've never physically been to SAC, I'm so thankful for the community that the cohort is giving me and for what AKI has given me. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. Let's see, I hope. Okay, I'm going to share sound. Okay. Oh no, hold on. Gotta input my password. Okay, so the theme of my project for Amplify was Letters for Liberation. This topic came up in my graduate writing class at SFC in my very first semester last semester. And I was taking ethnic studies writing class. And one of the prompts was write a letter to your future child, to someone who's younger than you, what it means to survive in this world based on colonialism, imperialism, capitalism. What do we want to say to them, how we want to guide them in this future. But yeah, so this topic came about because at first I really wanted to do a story. I really wanted to do a podcast in regards to why a lot of folks began to organize, specifically in Northern California. I came to Northern California at SF. I'm originally from Orange County, but I came to SF in order to really immerse myself in the history of ethnic studies here at SF State and really just immerse myself with a broader collective community that I knew was very interested in organizing. But this topic came about primarily because my family history is so rich and so revitalizing and so inspiring. My great Lola, Estrella Cornelia, whose maiden name is Danyada, she wrote an entire autobiography about her life spanning from a very, very young age until she was around 95 when she sadly passed away. She wrote that entire life story, and I didn't find it until I was 17 years old. And that has been the impetus for a lot of the reasons for why I organize, why I do the work I do today. This entire fellowship has taught me the means of how necessary oral history can be, especially in regards to how a lot of our own ancestors relied on oral history in order to survive, in order to make means in regards to this world of colonialism. Like they say that we're chismosas, right? But from what I've learned, this way of speaking to one another, telling each other all this information, it's a means of survival. It's a means of survival that originated way back to the Spanish colonial area, for our ancestors. But yeah, so oral history has been so important to me, and I also credit that oral history to learning about Lorenzo Danyada, who is actually one of my ancestors as well. He was one of the longest running senators in the Philippines, and he actively opposed Japanese imperialism. He actively opposed American occupation. He was one of the founders of National Democratic Organization Bayan in the Philippines. He co-founded it with a student called whose name was Leandro Alejandro, and just alone learning that he had created Bayan, it gave me a reason to want to organize. It gave me, this want to generational means to organizing. So these two people really serve as my inspiration, my ancestors. I just really want to give a quick blurb from my great Lola's what's it called, her autobiography. Here she talks about one of her youngest brothers, Tommy, and then she also goes into their life as a family during the Batangas Death March, and how their family home, in regards to displacement, she was talking about how the Japanese soldiers in their home in Gumaka City, they used their house as the headquarters, and then her piano that she diligently used was turned upside down. So it really just goes to show the effects of, how 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 imperialism, colonialism can really affect us in our day-to-day lives. I also want to say that one of the reasons why I also chose this name, Letters for Liberation, was also because I was able to participate. I was able to be a part of the Solidarity with Palestine encampment here at SF State last semester. And I was able to really build community with everyone there and really understand what it means to organize in the efforts and oppose institutions primarily made for white folks, primarily made in the interest of white academia, primarily made of revisionist history. I was able to organize with, the League of Filipino Students. I was able to organize with the General Union of Palestinian Students on campus during this encampment. And it really opened my eyes for what solidarity means and what it means to consistently organize as we continuously, again and again, face colonialism and imperialism. Yeah. So I'm gonna go to my podcast. I was able to interview two organizers, one of whom is here actually. Shout out Nell, I see you. So I interviewed Nell Garcia and I interviewed Yi Tao. So Nell is an organizer with GAPSAC, and I actually knew them a little bit back in my days at the Bulusan Center internship and everything. I've always looked up to them, always thought that they were one of the wisest people I've ever heard of, and I just want to always forever give my thanks to them for, you know, being so intentional in what they say and what they do. I was really interested in their work, especially in regards to when they got accepted to shout out when they got accepted to Berkeley for their PhD. They were speaking about they were speaking to me about their master's thesis at SF State, about how it focused on activism in the community of care. One thing that really resonated with me, what they said was, I think it's also in the zine, but they said, the we as organizers, we care. The reason why we organize, the reason why we do all this activism, or the reason why we're just a collective in general, is because we get angry when the people we love are hurt. And that kind of struck me. I say this to everyone. I've been saying this to folks in like LFS and everything like that. But, that struck me and it really resonated with me and it made me realize, like, yes, organizing is forever a culture of care and is forever, um, we solidarity is built on care, organizing is built on care, activism is built on care, is all built on care that we have for one another. And I was able to interview Yi Tao as well, who organized at Hmong Innovating Politics in Sacramento. Um, they are actually currently at UCLA for their master's thesis and exploring the Femme Hmong identity, as well as what it means to actually have a home, especially in regards to the fact that Hmong people do not have a country to truly call their own. Like, so what does it mean to have home? What does it mean to, you know, have a physical place called home, when there's none to begin with, especially in regards to, again, displacement and colonialism and imperialism, and all goes back to that. So I don't have the interview clips right now. However, it is uploaded on AKI, and I really hope that you can listen to it because they really gave some great advice for future organizers, for anyone interested in organizing, just for everyone in general. I feel like both of their words are always something that has encapsulated what it means to be an organizer and why we organize. And just alone, what they say to the future generations has served not only a purpose for, whoever might listen to it, the future generations, but it serves a purpose with me. And I think hearing their words, I carry it a lot in my heart, I carry it in my soul. Um, you know. And then real quick, here's my zine. It's made up of several quotes coming from some fellow organizers at SF State, some words from Nell, some words from Yi as well. So it's just a little zine that's comprised of several messages that I compiled from a Google form. So one of them's from Students for Justice in Palestine and Jewish Voice for Peace. One of them's from the Filipinx American Collegiate Endeavor at SF State. One of them is from Nell from GAPSAC, and then one of them is from Yi as well. I feel like I'm missing some pages. Yes, I am. Um, but yeah, I also had some folks from the League of Filipino Students as well chime in, and a lot of them were able to contribute just some wonderful messages that I really think can be served well in the future and served well for the community. And then next up, I do have these video projects, but because I cannot share sound, there is one that I do want to share, and I will gladly share the link. Let me see. I'm sorry, you're like seeing my like editing process right now. Give me a second. I made this a couple of years ago. I made this in oh my, Hamilton, San Francisco, I guess. It's an ad showing. My bad. Here, I will share the link right now. But oh my gosh, hold on. Where is I'm going to stop share. I'm going to stop share. Okay. I'm going to stop share. Oh yeah. Hold on. Everyone media. Okay. Okay, so this is the link to my video. Whenever you're able to, please watch it. I actually made it in collaboration with the editor-in-chief of Filipino-owned magazine, Maria's at Sampaquitas, which is actually based in SJ. I made it back when I was 18, so 4 years ago. But it's just collectivizing identity and just the intersectionalities of both elder life and both youth life. And it's having grown from having made that video and learning all of the strategies and the tactics I've learned as an organizer today, really, it almost is kind of like a letter to myself. It almost is a letter I kind of made unintentionally to myself. So, yeah, I really hope that you appreciate it, and I really hope that anyone who has, a letter for their own little letter for the future generation, or like their own speck of words to say for the future generation, I really hope that this means of communication, I really hope that this means of writing to one another and understanding what we can do to criticize ourselves and criticize what it means, again, to be an organizer, what it means to truly be connected in activism, especially in regards to solidarity, especially when we see it. Like, how do we continue this act of solidarity when, there's genocides happening in Palestine and Congo and Sudan? How do we continue the act of solidarity and ensure that the people we care for, the people who are actively being hurt, how do we show up and show out, and really, how do we put forth the work we do and ensure it's intentional, and how do we make sure that the future generations, how do our epistemologies, how do we grant them onto the future generation? But yeah, thank you. I appreciate everyone here. Thank you so much.
Fantastic job, Hal. Great way to end our last presentation. Fantastic connections across not just transnational schemes of organizing and solidarity and resistance, but also the healing process of self-reflection. And I love the title, Letters for Liberation. When I saw that, when you attached it in the email and sent it, I was like, oh, this sounds very poetic and very beautiful. I'm so excited to get into this. And again, you can see some of Hal's work already on the Amarakai Initiative YouTube, and amazing job. So let's give Hal a round of applause, and let's give all the fellows amazing round of applause. I'm so proud of all the work y'all have done. This has been an amazing experience to see you all work with Dr. Scott Suchitani and Dr. Rodriguez and Angela, and to see the stories y'all have woven through your own community's work, and to weave that into these projects, the podcasts, the visual pieces, the zines, slide decks, the videos. It's truly inspiring. So without further ado, congratulations. This confirms completion and the celebration of the very first inaugural Amplify Fellowship project, presentation, and journey. Y'all are amazing. You have shaped such a beautiful path for our community to listen, to learn, and to be in space with you all through your storytelling and through the amazing media works that you do. So again, congratulations everybody on all the amazing work. Y'all should be proud. Before we take our last group photo as Amplify cohort and crew, Angela, any last words you wanted to add or anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, no, just echoing everything that Wayne said. You guys are absolutely amazing. I'm absolutely blown away. I think this was one of AKI's sort of first programs ever since we had launched. And we already felt so lucky when you guys had applied and had wanted to work with us. So just seeing the ends of it, it just makes me feel so tender and so inspired. So thank you all so much. I will be sending your final stipends later tomorrow. I also will be sending instructions on sending back the audio tech that we had sent earlier. And yeah, I'll be sending your certificates as well. So please keep a lookout for that. And just want to say thank you, and I hope we can connect again soon in the future. And I'm just so excited. Thank you guys.
Yay! I'm sure we could figure out a way to do whether it be a virtual in-person pseudo hangout, celebration in the near future. Maybe at the farm. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. So we want to go ahead and invite Angela, let me know how you want. Do you want to just have everybody who's down to be on the
Yeah,
photo?
anyone who's down will take a group photo. I'll take it on my end if that's cool.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay.
Awesome.
3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll do another one.
Oh, hold on. The folks are still coming up. Oh, there you go, Kabang. All right, Kabang's there. Anyone else? I think we're all
Okay,
set.
3, 2, 1. Awesome. Okay, thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Sending y'all tons of love. Please get some rest. I'll be following up and checking in if anything around, just make sure we have the right captions and all that for your amazing work. But congratulations, fellows. Y'all did amazing. What a milestone. Have an amazing rest of your Monday, everybody. Stay safe. See y'all soon.
Everyone.
Bye. Thanks
Bye.
again, Angela, for everything.
Oh no, thank you, Wayne. Dr. Joe Panda.
Y'all are silly. Y'all are silly. Oh, let me stop recording.